Hi, Heather from County Mayo, west of Ireland. Just an update on what I've been up to. Been very busy the past month. It's raining today, so hopefully it won't rain too hard. Right, a little bit in the Polytunnel. Autumn's arrived. Had a very wet, soggy summer, like a lot of people. So everything's looking a little bit over now. There's quite a lot of mould on the Polytunnel, so there's going to be a lot of clearing over the next couple of weeks in here, and replanting, put some more compost in. Yeah, so it's not looking its best at the moment, but it's what it is. So and it's a good time to plan what you're going to do and what was good. And Peggy, stop eating the tomatoes. She keeps pinching tomatoes. Oh, I didn't think dogs like tomatoes. Anyway, yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of sowing, but not enough. I've been busy fencing the last couple of weeks, and it was absolutely knackering. So, but I'll show you a little bit what I'm doing in the Polytunnel at the moment. So, these are the seeds that I'm going to be sowing, a few veg, a few perennial flowers and some annual flowers. So I'll be sowing them in seed trays or in module trays, and then I will be keeping them over winter or planting them depending on which ones they are. And yeah, so hopefully for a spring colour, quick spring colour. Brighten our days up, because I guess it's going to be a bit of a long winter. Yeah, so this is some of the other lettuce which I've had to keep in pots that should have gone into the ground, but I just have run out of time this last few weeks. So yeah, I did have a couple of questions about pollination in the Polytunnel. There isn't a problem. I put so much sort of flowers in here, borage and marigolds and anything really, and there's normally such a hum in here of bees. It's just wonderful. It's quiet today, but they're normally pinging around on the plastic or in a flower or two. So yeah, so the good things about the Polytunnel this year were broad beans early, and they lasted for a long time. Climbing beans, my kale, beetroot, lettuce you can grow in here all year round. You can put a shade cover on it when it gets blistering hot, but it's pretty good here. Tomatoes, obviously, and cucumbers. Yeah, they've been brilliant. And the climbing beans, they've just about had enough. They've got mildew. I've pulled quite a few out. Yeah, just clearing some space. So there's a lot of work to be done here. It's very messy in here and needs a bit of TLC. But fabulous crop of tomatoes. I'll have to say, at the end of the day, the ones that were in pots that were in the ground have done phenomenally well. Yeah, so I shall carry on with the bed all the way down here and do this system of an open pot. It makes watering easy, keeps it contained and keeps it clean. So I'm pleased with that. No luck with aubergines, plenty of cucumbers and plenty of courgettes. Yeah, so the Three Sisters experiment, not really suitable here. I mean, I think in June and July and August we had probably about 4 days of sun, and it was just overcast and wet. I mean, the pond filled up again. It was just been pretty dire. But and now autumn's here, so but plenty of planning for next year. That's the exciting thing, and hopefully I've learned a little bit more about the weather here in Ireland, because it's quite a challenge. So some good things. I've got my purple sprouting, sunflowers over, so Jerusalem artichokes, There's some strawberries which will be left out now for the winter, and got cabbages on the go, my leeks, parsnips, and plenty of kale. It looks so beautiful. I think I just planted it for its structure. Yeah, sweet corn got a bit soggy, so really it's just there because it looked good. So cosmos does well, my carrots did well, got my comfrey growing now, which I grew from seed, my Brussels sprouts, they're all growing well. I'm having to remove caterpillars and eggs all the time, but that's okay. Stunning colours of the rainbow chard. And I tried this, which is a lovely little flax plant, and I grew those in modules, and I'll be doing a lot more next year. So unfortunately the rain makes them bow their heads, so normally they're a lovely beautiful baby blue flowers. Yeah, runner beans did well outside, so not too bad really. Soil, the top end here needs to be well improved, but it was absolutely fine. But I can see just by how the plants look and the beans look, that needs a bit of TLC. So I did have a few apples, but we had some really high winds here, so I think I have one apple left hanging. But the one thing that did like the wet was the willows and the basket willows, which are lots of different varieties here. Even the ones that don't normally grow that high, they're over 6 foot. And all the ones that I planted from new cuttings, they all took. But I had a real big problem here with one that I really like, which is called Daphnoides, which is a huge, great big, like purple stem one. It got rust. So when I spotted it, I literally clipped them right down to the stalk again, and hoping that that wouldn't spread to the rest of the plants. So this one here, I mean, some of these are going to be 7 or 8 foot tall. So absolutely masses of blackberries, because wherever there's dry stone walls which were covered in grass and bits, there's blackberries growing. So yeah, it's not the... Yesterday was a beautiful day, but we had constant traffic of tractors going past, because it was, I think, probably the last chance of bringing in some of the, baling up and bringing in some of the silage. So I think everyone was taking the opportunity when it's dry. So I've got my little hazel coppice going really well, but I have a big problem with trees I've planted, and hazel, alder, hazel and another of the species have been mullered by caterpillars, and I'm just trying to find out what it is, why, and if I can do anything. But I spent the last couple of weeks fencing, putting gate posts in, moving gates. That's a real hard job on your own. I'd already fenced a small bit off because I'm waiting for the sort of government inspection so I can have a herd, or flock number rather. But they're delayed, so I thought, well, I might as well go the whole hog and do another paddock. So I've been concreting some posts in and using some of the gates I've had, and so I've done all round this field or paddock here, and I had to cut all the brambles back to the walls so I could get the sheep fencing done. And because again there's a delay in them coming out, I I'm lucky enough to have my neighbour pop in some bullocks here to get the long grass down. So that was very, very tiring. But a job that's done now, it's out the way. So this would be typical Irish weather here. So there's not normally a day that goes by without rain. We are zone, I think I'm 8B. And I think we certainly have a lot less nice days than you do wet days. So yeah, so these alder trees, this one's okay. But here is completely stripped naked of its leaves. It's this caterpillar, sawfly, whatever it is, it's creating havoc. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do. So it is rather nice to see some livestock in the field. They're doing a grand job of eating. Yeah, so the pond hasn't even emptied because of all the rain, even when it's been nice and hot and sunny here. I think the temperature went up to about 27 here yesterday, which means the Polytunnel goes up to mid-30s. Yeah, so I guess when I need to line this because it's such a good little thing. I mean, it was beautiful yesterday watching the damselflies and dragonflies and all sorts floating around, and I really need to pay attention to that. But it's a lot of work and quite a lot of expense. And the fencing itself, all the wire and posts have, cost me a little bit. So one job at a time. Yeah, I planted some couple of different conifers just to make a bit of structural change here in the area, and then over the winter I'll better plant a lot more trees. But it's nice I'm giving them a bit of space around there so I can water as well, so it's that makes the watering easier. The bark down there stops it dehydrating so much and suppresses the weeds, so they've got a good chance. Yeah, so a couple of the hedge. Oh yeah, go to the hedge. I mean, this is doing, probably because of the wet, it's doing so well. I mean, it's less than 2 years old and it's romping away. Yeah, and I made a little arch, so I'll end up sort of making these areas into sort of their own little areas, whether you call them rooms or whatever. But every little place here has got a lovely little feel to it, and there's no point in rushing it because I've learnt so much about the drainage of the land and how it changes. So, and the best bits and the bits that aren't quite so nutritious. So, and this dear little hedge is home to, I don't know how many sparrows, but they're hilarious. So they come out and have their, as you can hear them, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So bless them. Oh, the little planting here in front of the house. I've actually got some raspberries there, but the red bits you can see are Lycisteria. It's a Himalayan, it's a pheasant plant. The berries, the pheasants in the mountains used to eat them. So yeah, and Heuchera and salvias and Alchemilla mollis, and not really a gladioli person, but they were lovely. They're obviously over now. Antirrhinum snapdragons, they've been such a joy. Absolutely. And I chucked some fennel, and now that's gone bonkers. So also here got some different, we've got a mint, got a salvia. These are just bee magnets. Top plants. And then a Peter, it looks a bit sad now, but that's just a bee magnet. And the verbena is, the butterflies here yesterday were phenomenal, but they're not going to be flying today. Yep, and the little garden in front here, which was my sort of throw plants in bed ready so I can propagate them and split them up. And then of course the new veranda on in front of the house, which I absolutely love. I sit here early morning having a coffee, listening to the birds, thinking about the day. Yep, and it's got little window boxes. And then Saturday I think I made this gate, which just slows the dogs down, so don't rush to the gate if someone comes, because sometimes if there's a tradesman they will actually, they don't worry about the dogs, they just drive in, and so I have to be a bit careful. So yep, I'm gradually painting that, and then I swapped one of the gates from here and made myself another pair of gates. So that was a field gate there, and that is now, which I concreted a couple of posts in up there and hung that gate, which was good use of a gate. I didn't really need that field gate down there anyway because it leads into the garden area. And then I built another veranda at the back here, and I've got lots of wood ready to slice up, ready for kindling. And then this area at the back looks a bit unloved, although the nasturtiums are beautiful. But I'm not doing anything much here because I really might have to end up having a drain, simple drain put in all the way back to the house, because there's a lot of water that gathers around the back and it's just, yeah, a nightmare. And as I own the land now here at the back, where I'll probably end up having some chickens, it'll be a perfect opportunity to actually run the drain round the back of the barn from the house down and then straight into the stream. So yeah, because there's this lovely stream that runs through the property and through into the woodland. But that's another day's project, to make the walkway through the woods. Or it's a plantation, but it isn't just a monoculture, it has got lots of different things in there as well as lots of the same thing. So high hopes for in there. So this was all the fencing still that I did. Must have been about 500 yards, so good job out the way. So yeah, I'm thinking about clearing this at the back. There is an old holding pen, so there's actually a wall in that undergrowth. But I'm only gradually doing it. There are hundreds of frogs here, all over the place. I just wish they were better at, or more efficient at, eating slugs. So anyway, I had a blight on the potatoes, on one lot of potatoes, which was sort of inevitable with the weather, and I don't spray. The lots, which actually at the back, they didn't catch it, and they're nice. They were nice potatoes, but I still didn't lose them. I still harvested them, dried them out, and then I've stored them in the little barn here, which you wouldn't believe it, I did actually clear out. So in here 5 trays of potatoes, and so I can shut. It's an old wardrobe, so someone gave it to me, so I can shut it, and it's completely dark, and then there's plenty of air flow. And then that was the rest of the carrots, and then this is where I've taken the tools and my bits out of the house, and got some shelves here, and then I've hung my onions up here, so I'm hoping they will be okay. I found some old strings up there, and I believe that the chap before, a long time ago, used to grow veg, and I think he strung his onions up there. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's just a quick catch up, and there's always so much to do. That's right, I was going to mention one of the bad things here, and I really do not know how to overcome the huge slug problem. They honestly eat through anything, and it's not like you can set out a few beer traps, because it's such a huge area. You know, even the veg patch is huge, and you've only got to walk across the lawn in the morning and you'll be treading on slug after slug. They hide in all the dry stone wool, lay loads of eggs. You know, it is slug heaven here. So a lot of my perennial flowers, when they first start growing in the first part of the season, they just get mullered. The Nabahita did, the Rebecca did, and like one of the Rebecca plants came back really strong, and the other one is struggling, but it's going to make a later flowering. So yeah, and they just eat through vegetables. They eat through anything, tomatoes, squash, anything. So but I'll just keep persevering, and I've got multiple plants. I think that's probably the only way. You know you're going to lose a lot, and hopefully I have enough to fill in when things do get eaten. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the tour, and take care folks. Bye for now.